Again, well, Lou and I would like to welcome you all to our Travel Friday today from our lunch club, and we'll be covering a trip to Peru. And again, thank you, Lou, so much for hosting, and the floor is yours.
Great. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Peru is one of the places on this planet that I've always wanted to go. That and India are probably the top of my list. Countries I haven't been to that I really want to go to. So it's been a joy for me to putting this together. As always, I got a little carried away at the trivia today, but so I got to make time for it. So let's get this show on the road here. We'll start off where we usually start, which is the Department of Aging and Community Living, which hosts the Senior iPad program. So I'm going to navigate over to there in just a moment. And uh, as I'm doing that, has anybody here ever been to Peru? Because it's a pretty popular destination in worldwide. We've got some travelers on the phone here, I know. No one? Okay. Well, let's all share this experience together then for the very first time. So I'm going to share my screen here and let me share sound and let's get this show on the road. So we're going to start at the Department of Aging and Community Living, which is on the corner of K Street and 5th Street. Great building. I was just there yesterday picking up some more iPads. Thank you, Dackle. Be able to bring some more folks in the program soon. And now we're going to go over to Union Station, where all these railroad tracks end, because we're going to take the red line over to Dulles Airport. And like always, Dulles Airport's easy to find because of all of the land that it takes up. And so we're going to zip over there to Dulles Airport and keep on going. Wow, can't miss that. So that's most international flights leave out of Dulles. A lot of domestics leave out of Reagan. And so what direction do we travel to go to Peru?
South.
South for sure. So I think most flights to Peru connect in Miami still. I've been taking Spirit Airlines lately. I'm a big Spirit fan because you can travel for like $29 one way. And they fly Airbus planes, which tend to where the doors don't fly off while you're in the middle of the flight. So
Yes.
and they're also really inexpensive. So I think they fly to Peru now for like $65.
Oh no.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, check out. Well, I shouldn't plug one company too much, but
That's okay.
check out their. You wouldn't believe where you can go for under $100 on Spirit Airlines.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they fly out of
Gotta
BW.
check that out.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
me and my wife took a trip round trip to Fort Lauderdale recently, 2 round trip tickets, and we paid under $100 total for both of us.
What?
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna head out and go down to Peru. So here we are. We're gonna pass over Colombia, pass over Ecuador, and then we get to the land of Peru. We're gonna land in the capital of Peru.
Llama.
Lima, Peru. So we're going to land
Lima.
right there. And you can see real quickly, just looking at the geography, Peru's got a lot of mountains. See the tan, but it's also got
Yeah.
a lot of Amazon. So about 2/3 of the country is Amazon rainforest. Look at all that.
Oh.
And it also shares Lake Titicaca with Bolivia. You see that lake right there?
Yeah.
Got a lot going on. Arequipa is a famous city. Cusco is a famous city. That's the gateway to Machu Picchu, which you'll learn about here. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let me just stop my share. And then I'm going to fire up the video. And I want to thank Alex. He found a good history video. Turns out history of Peru was not the easiest topic for me to look up. So Alex, I appreciate your help there. Let me share my screen. And here we go.
Officially, the Republic of Peru is a country in western South America. The history of Peru spans 4 millennia, extending back through several stages of cultural development in the mountain region and the lakes. The multiple layers of great civilizations makes Peru so intriguing. The earliest evidences of human presence in Peruvian territory have been dated to approximately 9000 BC. Andean societies were based on agriculture, using techniques such as irrigation and terracing. Camelid husbandry and fishing were also important. The oldest known complex society in Peru, the Norte Chico civilization, flourished along the coast of the Pacific Ocean between 3000 and 1800 BC. These early developments were followed by archaeological cultures that developed mostly around the coastal and Andean regions throughout Peru. The Chavín culture that developed from 1500 to 300 BC was probably more of a religious than a political phenomenon, with their religious center in Chavín de Huántar. After the decline of the Chavín culture around the beginning of the 1st century AD, a series of localized and specialized cultures rose and fell, both on the coast and in the highlands, during the next 1,000 years. On the coast, these included the civilizations of the Paracas, Nazca, Huari, and the more outstanding Chimu and Mochica. In the 15th century, the Incas emerged as a powerful state, which in the span of a century formed the largest empire in pre-Columbian America with their capital in Cusco. The Incas came to control most of the Andean region, with a population of 9 to 16 million inhabitants under their rule. During their regime, the Incas used a variety of methods, from conquest to peaceful assimilation, to incorporate a large portion of western South America, centered on the Andean mountain ranges, from southern Colombia to northern Chile, between the Pacific Ocean in the west and the Amazon rainforest in the east. The official language of the empire was Quechua, although hundreds of local languages and dialects were spoken. In December 1532, a party of conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro defeated and captured the Inca Emperor Atahualpa in the Battle of Cajamarca. The Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire was one of the most important campaigns in the Spanish colonization of the Americas. The indigenous population dramatically collapsed due to exploitation, socioeconomic change, and epidemic diseases introduced by the Spanish. Viceroy Francisco de Toledo reorganized the country in the 1570s with gold and silver mining as its main economic activity and Amerindian forced labor as its primary workforce. With the conquest started the spread of Christianity in South America. Most people were forcefully converted to Catholicism, taking only a generation to convert the population. They built churches in every city and replaced some of the Inca temples with churches, such as the Coricancha in the city of Cusco. By the 18th century, declining silver production and economic diversification greatly diminished royal income. In response, the crown enacted the Bourbon Reforms, a series of edicts that increased taxes and partitioned the viceroyalty. The new laws provoked rebellion and other revolts, all of which were suppressed. In the early 19th century, while most South American nations were swept by wars of independence, Peru remained a royalist stronghold. As the elite vacillated between emancipation and loyalty to the Spanish monarchy, independence was achieved only after the occupation by military campaigns of José de San Martín and Simón Bolívar. Despite the loss of power of Spain in Europe, the Criollo oligarchy in Peru enjoyed privileges and remained loyal to the Spanish crown. Simón Bolívar launched his campaign from the north, liberating the viceroyalty of New Granada in the battles of Carabobo in 1821 and Pichincha a year later. In July 1822, Bolívar and San Martín gathered in the Guayaquil Conference. Bolívar was left in charge of fully liberating Peru, while San Martín retired from politics after the first parliament was assembled. The newly founded Peruvian Congress named Bolívar dictator of Peru, giving him the power to organize the military. With the help of Antonio José de Sucre, they defeated the larger Spanish army in the Battle of Junín on the 6th of August, 1824, and the decisive Battle of Ayacucho on the 9th of December of the same year, consolidating the independence of Peru and Alto Peru. Alto Peru was later established as Bolivia. During the early years of the Republic, endemic struggles for power between military leaders caused political instability. From the 1840s to the 1860s, Peru enjoyed a period of stability under the presidency of Ramón Castilla from increased state revenues from guano exports. However, by the 1870s, these resources had been depleted. The country was heavily indebted, and political infighting was again on the rise. Peru embarked on a railroad building program that helped, but also bankrupted the country. In 1879, Peru entered the War of the Pacific. Almost 5 years of war ended with the loss of the department of Tarapacá and the provinces of Tacna and Arica in the Atacama region. After the war, the government started to initiate a number of social and economic reforms in order to recover from the damage of the war. Internal struggles after the war were followed by a period of stability under the Civilista Party, which lasted until the onset of the authoritarian regime of Augusto B. Leguía. The Great Depression caused the downfall of Leguía, renewed political turmoil, and the emergence of the American Popular Revolutionary Alliance. In 1929, the Treaty of Lima was signed between Peru and Chile and returned Tacna to Peru. During this time, Peru was engulfed in a year-long war with Colombia over a territorial dispute involving the Amazonas Department and its capital Leticia. Concerned about the economy, the increasing terrorist threat from Sendero Luminoso and MRTA, and allegations of official corruption, Alberto Fujimori assumed presidency in 1990. Fujimori implemented drastic measures that caused inflation to drop from nearly 8,000% to 139%. During early 1995, once again Peru and Ecuador clashed in the Cenepa War. But in 1998, the governments of both nations signed a peace treaty that clearly demarcated the international boundary between them. In the 21st century, Peru has had successive, clearly democratic governments. The country is in the middle of a period of economic development with growth rates never previously achieved and overcoming the crises of the past decades. Thank you for watching. Please.
All right. Well, did anything stand out to anybody there? And I could, let me jump in here. I'll say what jumped out at me was how little the Incas had control. You know, they rose from nothing to controlling most of the continent in 100 years. I mean, it's incredible, and it was short-lived because then the Spanish came in. I wonder what would have happened if they had a little more time. That jumped out at me. Anything for anybody else?
You all can unmute as normal.
Well, Spain, I guess Spain colonized most of South America
Yeah.
at some point.
Except
I'm sorry, Lou.
go ahead.
I was going to say the thing that jumped out at me was the silver mining. At one point during that century, it's told that Peru produced half of all the silver in the entire world, and now they're deeply in debt. That's what's jumped out at me. How you can produce half the silver in the world, and now you have no money. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I looked at that too, that they had gold and silver, and whatever happened, they became indebted.
The Spanish took it.
Spanish took it. That's what it was. Yep.
One of the things that stood out to me was that they had an interest in a Pacific War. What would they have? What would entice them to go fight in the South Pacific?
Oh, the Calvinist, the party, whatever.
Well, you gotta see too. See, it wasn't the indigenous people. Again, this was the colonizers. They were expanding, imperialism. So they were, of course, the Spanish were attempting to broaden their reach across the Pacific and Latin America as well. So it was the Spanish who was actually doing the wars. The people who came from Spain, I mean, they weren't actually Spaniards anymore. They had adopted, of course, living in Peru. But the majority of the people who were actually Peruvian, the indigenous people, they weren't interested in a war. They didn't even know about the other people that existed too much.
Exactly.
But greed and silver and gold and diamonds can get ya.
Yeah, that's true.
What I was curious about is what percentage of the population is Japanese, because Fujimori is a Japanese heritage. And him to become president.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's interesting.
See, none of the indigenous people are in control of the government in Peru. Not one indigenous person.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, not at all.
I know there's a lot of indigenous uprising going on. I'll share a video here in a second on that. Well, so let me continue on because we got a lot of video and a pretty long trivia thing too today. So let me just share screens again, and let me start out with well, let's go to the best places to visit real quick. And I'll share in a second. Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay, here we go. Let me expand that. Okay, hopefully everybody can see it now. Got too many bars up here myself. Just a moment. There we go.
Peru is probably one of South America's most well-known destinations, and the mysterious settlement of Machu Picchu has adorned many a tourist postcard. But while the country is certainly celebrated for the Inca Trail and its ancient archaeological site, Peru has so much more to offer than crumbling ruins. Explore the museums of Lima, soak in the hot springs of high-altitude Cusco, and fly over the astonishing Nazca Lines. Here's a look at the best places to visit in Peru. Number 10. Chachapoyas. Set in a scenic yet secluded spot far from the Peruvian coast, Chachapoyas lies high amid the mountains and is the capital of Amazonas. Founded by the Spanish in 1538, the small city is home to a couple of interesting monuments and colonial buildings, with plenty of restaurants and hotels found around its main plaza. From here you can arrange to visit incredible sites, such as the distinctive sarcophagi of Carajilla, the pre-Inca city of Cuelap, and the sparkling Gocta waterfall. Number 9. Trujillo. Nestled within a lush valley 8 hours north of Lima, Trujillo is celebrated for its photogenic colonial center, filled with colorful Spanish mansions and quaint churches. Not far from the Pacific coast, this relatively large city was founded in the 1500s, close to the abandoned Chan Chan ruins, one of the largest pre-Incan empires of ancient Peru. Within its impressive once-walled ruins, this mud city is the largest adobe city in the Americas and boasts a series of religious temples, burial grounds, and royal residences. Number 8. Nazca Lines. The puzzling Nazca Lines that crisscross the valleys of Palpa and Nazca have put this part of Peru's otherwise uninteresting desert on the map. These enormous inscriptions of lines, animals, and other geometric patterns were carved into the sandy terrain by the Nazca people and are believed to have been part of a 1,000-year-old holy road. The dry, windless, stable climate of the Nazca Desert has helped keep the lines uncovered to the present day. Number 7. Lake Titicaca. Lake Titicaca, South America's largest lake, straddles the border of Bolivia and Peru. At an elevation of just over 12,500 feet, it is considered the highest navigable lake in the world. Many of its 41 islands are inhabited, including the floating islands the natives make with heavy reeds. About 500 species of aquatic life live in the lake, which has a large population of water birds. Local belief says the sun was born at Lake Titicaca. Number 6. Lima. As Peru's capital and largest city, Lima is a sprawling metropolis of almost 9 million people. The city was founded in 1535 by the Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro and offers a rich history, as well as exceptional food and a great sense of culture. Whether you're taking a stroll through the historic heart of Lima Centro and its craft markets, or exploring the more tourist-friendly green suburb of Miraflores, which overflows with antique shops and bars, you're in for something special. Number 5. Colca Canyon. There's a reason Colca Canyon is the third most visited tourist destination in Peru. Stunning views. The canyon is one of the deepest in the world, and more than twice as deep as the Grand Canyon. If you get tired of scenic views, you can feast your eyes on the sky, where you may see Andean condors and the biggest hummingbirds you've ever seen. Villages are a good place to buy local handcrafts. Number 4. Sacred Valley. Once the heartland of the Inca Empire, the Sacred Valley of the Incas is a valley in the Andes, close to Cusco, and the ancient city of Machu Picchu. The valley was appreciated by the Incas due to its special geographical and climatic qualities. Whichever route you take, there's plenty to discover along the way. There are gorgeous colonial towns, remote villages, colorful markets, and fascinating Incan sites, such as the citadels of Pisac, Chinchero, and Ollantaytambo, tucked along this mysterious valley. Number 3. Arequipa. Lying at the foot of the towering El Misti volcano, Arequipa's mountainous setting makes it beautiful to behold. Distinct from the rest of the country, Arequipans rightly have much to be proud of, as a stunning array of lavish colonial architecture greets you as you wander around the city's streets. Examples of Spanish colonial architecture can be found throughout the center of the city. Among the most significant of these is the Santa Catalina convent, which has some lovely little streets and captivating architectural designs for visitors to explore. Number 2. Cusco. Formerly the capital of the Inca Empire, Cusco is mesmerizing to wander around, as decadent colonial churches jostle for supremacy with the Incan temples and modern fast food joints that line its ancient cobbled streets. The archaeological capital of the continent is simply breathtaking for its fantastic wealth of historical sites and rich cultural heritage. The surrounding area is full of amazing sights, just waiting to be explored. And as the gateway to Machu Picchu, Cusco is a must-see city in Peru. Number 1. Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is a magnificent representation of the Incan civilization before the Spanish came. Nestled in the Peruvian Andes, Machu Picchu served as a palace for the emperor, a fortress, and as a site for religious ceremonies where human sacrifices were made to appease the gods. Untouched by the Spanish, the site was abandoned after the conquest, only to be discovered by an American professor in the early 1900s. Built from polished stones, the city is a fascinating example of classical Incan architecture. With its spectacular views, Machu Picchu is Peru's most visited tourist attraction.
All right. Well, did anything jump out to anybody there?
I like the music, the woodwinds. They have a DC based band that's Afro-Peruvian, and they play that same kind of music with the flutes and stuff.
Oh, wow. You know the name of the band?
No. I mean, they're really prevalent in DC.
Los Lobos.
Yeah, they started off playing at the Foggy Bottom Metro, and they were selling their CDs back then.
Los Lobos.
What is it?
Los Lobos.
Yes, that's it. Los Lobos, the wolf. Yes.
Oh, wow. We got to pull that one up. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. Very good, Thomas.
Any other thoughts, folks?
Peruvian chicken is very popular in the area. There's several places that sell it, and it's very good. Peruvian chicken.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
One of them is over by Brentwood Shopping Center. And the other thing that I noticed, there were no tall buildings.
Oh, didn't think of that.
Is that because they have earthquakes there?
Could be.
Possible. They are within the ring of fire.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to go to Machu Picchu, but I don't think my arthritis will allow it anymore. It's a lot of stairs there.
I was thinking that Lou, I said, well, I should have done that a long time ago because I'm too old and too painful to do that now.
Yeah, isn't it funny how that happens?
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm sure they don't have. I'm sure they don't have handicap access.
They should allow people to retire at 40, so we have time to go do some fun stuff while we can.
Don't retire. Just keep going. Keep going.
There you
keep going, but like you don't have to work. You
That's
should
a difference in retirement. Yes.
Just not have to.
But I don't know about you all. I don't know about you all, but you know what I want to do seems to track on what I'm able to do. Also, you know, it's like I don't really want to do that kind of stuff anymore either. How about you all?
I don't want to work.
I feel that same way, Lou.
I've been trying to go to Machu Picchu for 20 years. Lou. I can't be doing that.
I want to work and want to work with children. I want to work.
And I can't do all that work right now like I used to.
Everybody
I
else
don't know
is
about
doing
you all, but
something.
I don't even want to do that walking anymore, right?
I do.
Not that type. But some walking, not that type though.
I got COPD. My oxygen drop if I do too much walking.
All right, well, folks, I'm going to fire up another one here. So we're running a little bit slower on time, and I got a lot of trivia questions here. So let me see. How about we jump into some things not to do while we're in Peru? So let me just change this.
If you are planning to travel around Peru, you should know that there are some things you should avoid doing if you don't want to get in trouble. So getting straight into it.
I gotta just share it screens, just a moment. Okay, here we go.
Here are 10 things not to do in Peru. Know before you go. 1. Don't book the cheapest tours. If you're planning on booking a tour, try to choose one with a good guide. They will show you the best places and information you wouldn't have otherwise known. Even if you just want to do some hiking, the guides can show you spectacular paths you'll never forget.
Wow.
2. Don't be rude. While occasionally arrogant and sometimes not very self-aware, some tourists also have the irritating habit of speaking to Spanish-speaking Peruvian locals in English, and when obviously not understood, decide to speak louder, as if somehow they'll be better understood or something. This just comes across as rude, so don't be rude, they're very nice people. 3. Don't take cheap buses and strange taxis. Transport accidents are very common in Peru due to careless drivers and poor road conditions. So if you want to arrive safely at your destination, it would be better to take the bus instead. 4. Don't try to save food. In Peru, you can find many fine dishes that you will absolutely enjoy. So don't try to buy the cheapest foods. Try some classic dishes instead, like cuy, guinea pig. You'll only spend a few more bucks, but it's well worth it. 5. Don't just go to Machu Picchu. There are more things in Peru than just Machu Picchu. Sure, it's amazing and you must go, but don't limit your trip to just that. The coast or the Peruvian Amazon will amaze you. Even the capital deserves a day trip. 6. Don't forget about health concerns. You should avoid drinking tap water. Also, don't think that your altitude sickness won't be a problem for you, because it may be. And of course, don't forget to receive all the recommended vaccinations before traveling. 7. Don't forget to haggle. Peru is a haggling nation, so they expect you to discuss the price with them, especially in touristy markets and souvenir stands. Sometimes you can also haggle with taxi fares, because they tend to raise their prices for tourists, but it's always better to ask their fare first to avoid surprises. 8. Don't take photos without asking. If you take a photo of an individual or small group of people, always ask beforehand. And also, it's important to know that taking pictures of police or military personnel is not the best idea. 9. Don't let the local authorities get on your nerves. Many Peruvian police officers are poorly paid, so the acceptance of bribes is very common. It can also be frustrating dealing with them, as their process is often very slow, so just keep calm and wait for them to finish their routine. 10. Don't trust strangers. Don't be too quick to trust anyone, especially when approached by a stranger. Sometimes people take advantage of foreign people and get too close to you to scam you. So be careful and pay attention to those people. Where do you want to know what not to do in next? Comment below.
All right, so let's any thoughts about what we just saw, folks?
Lou, that sand dune, I mean, that was interesting with all those different colors.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen anything. It looks like you make a sand dune in a glass with a different color sand. That's what that looks like with the it's beautiful. It's multicolored. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, you're right. It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I didn't see, was that listed in the places to see? I don't recall that.
I think it was, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, and I'm looking at it on my desktop, and I see it, with all the pinks and yellows and light blue. It's beautiful.
The first stop on a
Oh, sorry. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Also, Lou, those rules of what not to do, they're just across the board whenever you travel, frankly.
I think you're right about that.
Yes.
No, that's a good point. Well, hey, I want to share a real quick thing, because what we saw about the silver and the gold, that back hundreds of years ago, turns out that's still happening today. And one of the things that struck me about the history video is how they basically enslaved the indigenous people to mine the silver and the gold. The Spanish did. So although that's not happening, a lot of their land's being destroyed, and it's a big issue now over there. So let me just share this. It's more of a current event thing. Here we go.
The first stop on a 3-day tour in Peru. Pope Francis, a champion of clean environment, met members of Amazonian indigenous communities. The Pope says they are the most vulnerable people, and now they are living in danger.
The native Amazonian peoples have probably never been so threatened on their own lands as they are at present. There is neo-extractivism and pressure being exerted by great business interests that want to lay hands on its petroleum gas, lumber and gold.
More than anywhere else in Peru than here, in the Madre de Dios region, the government says the gold rush has destroyed more than 32,000 hectares of forest. Nearly 18,000 kilos of gold are produced here every year.
What the Pope wants here is this: to stop illegal miners dumping chemicals into the river, destroying the ecosystem, which affects some of the poorest communities.
The government says 3,000 tons of mercury have been dumped in the Amazon rivers. The Santa Teresita community depends on the river to survive. Community leader Rusmari says they want the Pope to help.
The river is contaminated. We can't eat fish. Our prime need is for drinkable water. We need to take care of the forest. We need fish farms, and we want illegal mining to stop. We have to defend our territory.
Along the way in Madre de Dios and Lima, Peruvians packed the streets to cheer the pontiff. 80% of Peruvians are Catholic. At the presidential palace in Lima, the Pope said the environmental degradation cannot be separated from the moral degradation.
How much evil is done to our Latin American people and the democracies of this continent by this social virus, a phenomenon that infects everything, with the greatest harm being done to the poor and Mother Earth.
A papal reference to the allegations of corruption among many politicians in Latin America. For now, Peruvians put aside their anger at politicians to cheer and welcome.
All right, so I wanted to share that because this is a pretty urgent social issue in Peru right now. There's rioting and other pushback that's taking place. Any thoughts on that before we jump to trivia?
Well, that must have been some years ago because the Pope, his health has kind of declined, and he's more in a wheelchair. It looks like he was much younger and he was moving about freely. So, yeah.
That was actually a couple of years ago, but Brenda still exists today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad Lou brought it up so I don't be the naysayer.
Jumped in the river. Yeah.
The Catholic Church, I'm Catholic, I was raised Catholic, and I just have to say that the Catholic Church has taken tremendous advantage of the indigenous people and the minerals. There was a mountain somewhere, it may have been in Peru, that was entirely tin, and that mountain is gone. I traveled in South America, and I just could not believe the poverty and extreme wealth. There, middle class is almost non-existent.
That is
from
true.
my experience.
That is true. It doesn't exist.
I just found it very sad. Getting back to the Vatican and the Catholic Church, that they really did a number on South Americans. On a positive note, I would like to contribute that I read a book. Michael Pollan is his name, and it's a book about plants. And he took 4 plants around the world and went into great detail. And one of them was the potato from South America. And what these people did with the potato and made, there were potatoes that had high starch, there were potatoes that had low starch, there were large potatoes, small potatoes, potatoes that grew at high altitudes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The name, I can't remember the name of the book, but the author is Michael Pollan, Pollen. And it's 4 plants, the apple, the potato, I think the poppy, and marijuana, and how the plant has changed civilization versus how civilization has changed the plant. So anyway, that's just all I have to say.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, appreciate that. Hey guys, we got to jump into trivia real quick. It's 10:02. So again, thank you all. This is great. Appreciate the opportunity to present, and let me share my screen. So here we go. Alex, if you want to go through the rules, that would be fantastic.
Thank you, Lou. Yeah, so again, everyone will be muted during the trivia, and if you would like to answer one of the questions that Lou has to potentially win a prize today, you must raise your hand in Zoom. Before we get started, let's all practice raising our hand. You can tap more at the top right of Zoom and then hit raise hand, or if your Zoom is updated, you can hit reactions at the bottom and then hit raise hand. Again, we go based on the order of the hands received. So once you're called, you unmute, yourself, make sure you hit unmute. And of course, you just have a few seconds to answer. Otherwise, we'll go on to the next person in order. But again, if you would like to answer one of Lou's questions, please make sure you raise your hand in Zoom so that way you can then share your answer. Okay, thank you. You can hit lower at the bottom to then lower your hand. So I really appreciate that, Lou, and look forward to the trivia today.
All right, so here we go. Peru trivia. First question. Peru is home to the largest flying bird on Earth. What is its name?
Please raise your hand if you would like to answer. Thank you. Okay, first up is Brenda. What is your answer?
I believe it was the condor.
Yeah, close enough. Andean condor. Very good.
Oh, okay.
With a wingspan up to 3.2 meters. That's like 10 feet, folks.
That's big.
That's big. It stands up to 1.2 meters high. That's about 3.5 feet high. The huge size makes them quite heavy, up to about 33 pounds, which is why they prefer to live in windy areas like Peru's Colca Canyon. They did have a picture of a condor flying, by the way, in the video, where they can glide in the air currents for hours with minimal efforts. Look at the size of that thing. That's insane. All right, congratulations.
Thank you, Brenda. You're in the running for a prize today.
What is the formal name of the White City of Peru?
And please raise your hand if you would like to answer. Okay, Anne, what is your answer?
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. Arequipa?
Very good, Arequipa. Yes, very good.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
So, due to its unique architecture consisting of white volcanic stone called silar, white volcanic stone. Okay, good job. Okay, next
I
question.
like those bricks. I like the buildings. Those are really nice.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Very cool. Okay. What famous islands are on Lake Titicaca and what makes them unique?
So it's a two-parter, right, Lou?
Yes, yes, it is.
Gotta get both.
So I need to know the name of those famous islands. They're actually in the video. And what's so special about them?
Any takers, please raise your hand if you would like to answer. Any takers?
Famous islands on Lake Titicaca. These are actually very famous islands. And they're famous because of something special about them.
About 15, 30 seconds. I have my timer.
Okay.
10 seconds. Any takers? I appreciate you wanting to answer, Anne and Brenda. Okay, Ms. Thompson. But Anne and Brenda, you can keep your hands up. Hi, Ms. Thompson. What is your answer?
Is it Amatana? Amatana?
We need both answers, Brenda.
And what makes it unique?
From the island resources and preservation? No.
That's not what I was looking for. Any other guesses? I'm not sure if that's the name of the islands either, but I forgot the answer. But we'll know in a second.
Appreciate
Who's next,
that.
Alex?
Yep. Yvonne, what is your answers? We must get both.
Euros, floating islands.
Can you say it again?
Euros, UROS, floating islands.
Very good. Yes.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Really appreciate that. You're in the running for a prize today.
Yes.
Thank you.
They're made from floating grass or weeds, and they're bound together by ropes that anchored by logs which go deep to the bottom of the lake. I think it was Peru where remember the Kon-Tiki voyage where they bound reeds together and they floated across the Atlantic and the Pacific? Was that coming out of Peru? That was back in the day. That's back in the 70s. Anyway, that's a picture of the island right there. That thing is floating. All right, congratulations. Next question. What are these and who made them? What are these called?
That's a great question, Lou. So it's another two-parter. What are those lines and who made them? Gotta get both.
This was in the video.
And please raise your hand if you would like to answer. Okay, Mrs. Stephen, what are your answers?
I only have one, so
okay. We need both.
I know you need both, but that's fine. I'm just going to say that they were made by the Incas.
Well, thank you for assisting the next person, Mrs. Stephen. We got to make sure we get through the answers, okay?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, Thelma, what are your answers?
The NACA lines, the NASA lines.
Yeah. Okay, you got that part.
I know it made in Lima. No, Lima.
Who made those lines?
Is it indigenous people? I can't pronounce that name for nothing.
Yeah, that's that actually second part was a ringer because a guy named Eric von Daniken, that's been named back from the day. He thinks those lines came from who? Anybody remember that? Eric von Daniken.
Is that a part of your part of the?
No, I'm giving them hints. Eric von Daniken, Chariot of the Gods. Remember that book back in the 1970s?
Okay. Mr. Harold, what is your answers?
Oh, the Nazca and the Inca.
So I think our first person, probably before Mr. Harold got it, before him is probably the closest. The other Nazca lines, they're actually made by the Nazca people, they say, but they don't know for sure who made them. And that's where the book Chariot of the Gods, they say they were made by ancient aliens. So I think any question, any answer would have passed for who made them. So
so who did you want to provide?
I think it's before Mr. Harold. Who was that?
It was Miss Thelma and then Mr. Stephen before.
I say Miss Thelma's got it.
Okay, congratulations, Miss Thelma. Appreciate that.
All right, we're almost done here. I got to move fast. What animal is eaten by locals on special occasions? It's an animal we all know, but we don't really think it's very edible.
Okay, Mrs. Stephen, what is your answer?
Guinea pig.
Yay, that's it.
Ooh.
Good job, Mrs. Stephen. Thank you so much.
Good job. Okay, next question, blazing through. There are over 4,000 varieties of what food grown in Peru? Over 4,000 varieties. What is that food called?
Okay, Mr. Thomas, what is your answer?
What's a potato?
Yay, very good, very good.
Good job, Mr. Thomas. Thank you.
Okay, last question. Here we go. Last question. Here we go. What famous person misspelled it?
What's it, Lou?
I'm going to leave it at that. I think Yvonne's answering.
Again, Yvonne Yvonne and Ann, thank you so much. Can we see if we can get someone that hasn't answered one yet correctly? But thank you for keep your hands raised. Any other takers? Please raise your hand.
So what is the it that was misspelled? Anybody know? What it am I talking about?
Okay, 10 seconds, and then we'll hear from the two hands.
The it is the word potato. Who misspelled that? What famous person?
Yvonne, what do you think?
Said Vice President Quayle.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job, Yvonne.
Good
And
job.
that's all people, that's all most people remember about him.
Well, thank you so much, Yvonne. I did not know that at all, so kudos to you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it. Thanks, folks. All right, Alex, spin the wheel.
Well, again, thank you, Lou, so much for a wonderful presentation and some great trivia questions. I like the mix of the images and the text and the different topics that you covered. Thank you so much. As always, we're going to spin the wheel for our winners for today that correctly answered a question. So we have Miss Brenda, Miss Ann, Miss Yvonne, Miss Thelma, Mrs. Stephen, and Mr. Thomas, who are in the running for a prize today. So let's see who wins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mr. Thomas, you're getting lucky with these spins.
He is. He's cleaning up. He's cleaning up.
Congratulations, Mr. Thomas. You have won a prize today.
Give it to somebody else.
Can you look at the participants list and choose somebody, please?
Or someone on the wheel. It should be someone on the wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
Who would
Spin the
you like?
wheel again.
Okay, let's that's a good suggestion, Mr. Thomas. We'll do that. So let's remove Mr. Thomas and let's see who wins. But thank you so much for your kindness today.
Oh, how'd you remove that so quick? That was cool.
Okay, Yvonne, thank you so much for coming on to our session today. You have won a prize. You,
Thank you so much
no
for his
problem.
generosity, for your generosity.
Yes, and you have won some headphones for your iPad and Apple devices, Yvonne. So again, thank you so much for correctly answering the question and for participating today.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem, Yvonne. Again, thank you all so much for attending our travel club with Lou, and let's all thank him for such a wonderful session. We'll see you at 1:30 today.
Thank
you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou, for bringing the whole game.
Thanks, Lou.
See y'all
Okay,
next
stick around.
Safe weekend and God bless.
Have a
Interesting
wonderful weekend.
Yvonne.
Wonderful weekend there.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate you,
much.
Lou.
Thank you, Lou.
Yes,
Okay, Lou.
Good day.
thank you.
Thank you, Lou. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Lou. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Yeah, thank y'all.